This bitch is making me a little warm. I think I should take my sweater off.
Yeah, I honestly was like, you know when you have like a little bit to drink and then all of a sudden you feel the flush go over your face?
Mm-hmm.
I felt that mid-pod.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've only had one booze.
It's the sexy mojito.
The sexy mojito. Shout out Nova. Shout out.
I take one sip and I immediately feel the blush.
Yeah, I feel like the psh over my face right now. But also it's because it's like just now noon. 12:21. I don't know last time I drank.
It's like
before
brunch,
noon.
brunch rules.
Yeah. Yeah. I had
Even
a
though we're
donut.
not eating. Oh, yeah, we did have a
We
donut.
had a donut. Shout out Krispy Kreme.
Sponsor
Sponsor
us.
us.
Solely in donuts.
I know.
Could you imagine?
Don't even give us any money. Just
Don't give us money. Just give us a
throw
donut.
some donuts at us. We'll be happy.
I would be more than happy
I
to
know.
accept that sponsorship deal. Okay, so last episode, which was only a few minutes ago for us, but for you, I don't know. This might be released one right after the other. But so we were talking about Yoga to the People founder Greg Gamusio and how he is a yuck person with a long criminal record, long before he opened Yoga to the People. And so last we left off, he had just moved to New York to open up Yoga to the People. So they had, we'll kind of bounce forward a little bit to, I don't know what it's called. It's like the teens? The teens?
The 2010s?
Is it the 2010s?
Oh,
is that what we call it?
No. Like the 2010. I'm trying to think of like how music is like 2000s. 2010s. No, it's 2010s.
That's 2010s? Yeah. Okay, so to the 2010s, it doesn't feel right to say it.
Weird.
And I feel like someone's going to be like, these ladies are fucking idiots.
Yeah. I mean, one of us are. It's me.
We are like a boochin, but
Yeah.
so sorry, I read what I wrote and I was like, wait, this is out of order. But it's not out of order. It just jumps the gun a little bit, and it's like a little taste of like where things are kind of like So for years, Yoga to the People found success. It had multiple locations. There were some in the Bay Area, Colorado, Arizona, the Pacific Northwest. And he split his time between New York and Colorado locations, and he would return to New York about once a month, and the teachers were expected to drop everything, attend his classes or like one of his boozy lunches. The other thing is that he would just be like, hey, I'm going to teach right now. And whoever was teaching
Would
was
just get ripped out of their...
Yeah, they just were out. They were shit out of luck.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, I guess I'm not teaching now. Not that they were paying enough for it to really matter, but like,
right. If you're
as
in
a
the
yoga
headspace,
teacher,
that's disrespectful.
Well, no, I mean, every dollar counts as a
Yeah.
yoga teacher because you make jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yoga to the People was so popular that it drove Bikram Manhattan out of business, which led to a 2011 copyright infringement lawsuit in which Bikram alleges that Yoga to the People was teaching Bikram's trademark sequence as, quote, traditional hot yoga and wanted $1 million in damages. And Gamusio, which is like, he's right, claimed that because the name Bikram wasn't associated with the class that it was still legal, and they ended up settling out of court that Yoga to the People would agree not to teach the set sequence.
But it's so
but I don't think
crazy
they had to pay
because
anything.
it just goes to show like how yuck both of these guys are. Because at one point they were in cahoots. At one point,
Yeah.
Gapipio was his right-hand man.
Yeah.
And
so then he sues him. Then he tries to distance himself even further. And in a New Yorker article in 2012, he says that he, unlike Chaudhry, respected women's boundaries, mentioning...
Okay.
And wait, this is how he respects them, is that he mentioned that he teamed up with a feminist scholar, Catherine McKinnon, to design an anti-rape t-shirt.
What? That's so ironic.
And there's like on the Yoga to the People shadow work account, there's I think there's maybe one or two people that were there when they said he just like manically walked into the room. He was like, I've been thinking about this, and I have just great an idea. What if it's just a shirt that says "Say Rape"? And he's like, who would buy one? And she said, like, we didn't know what to do, so we all just raised our hands. Because it's like,
it's like that, like, I want to show that I'm supporting.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'll buy one.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that's what makes him a feminist, is making a t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she must be cringing so hard that she, like...
Yeah, that she teamed up with him.
Yeah.
I know.
To, like...
So, anyway, the studio was doing really well.
What a stunt. Okay, sorry.
I know. Just
what a stunt.
An inauthentic stunt.
100%. Because we know what's behind it all.
Yeah. Is that he already has been accused of rape at this point.
Yeah, because he's already done it.
Yeah. So the studio was doing really well on donations. Students would leave cash like crumpled up and sweaty on the floor. And there was like, they'd either like leave it on the floor, or there was designated tissue boxes. And so they were raking it in. I know. That's tissue wild. Boxes. Okay. Well, I think that it's like, those like tissue boxes that like old people have, where it's like a hard, not like a Kleenex, not like a paper, not like a.
I'm like, really? It's wild.
It's like a decorative. That's the only time I buy tissue boxes, is like Christmas.
Yes,
because they're cute.
You could buy one for Halloween too.
Do they have Halloween ones?
They 100% have.
But are they like fall themed, or? Oh,
I got it.
She just killed a gnat.
Yes.
And with like her hands and silently. She clapped it, but it was like
I tried my best not
she to. She clapped it, but made no sound.
Yeah. I was being mindful of the pod. I was like, how do I silently?
It was just like, I think it wants some of that sexy mojito.
Okay. It's all,
I can smell it on your breath.
It's all for me. It's all I must come closer.
So they were doing really, really well financially with all of their donations. However, their teacher training program was what was the most lucrative. Trainees would pay between $2,500 to $3,000 depending on their practice to kickstart their careers as a yoga teacher, which is that's like pretty common. That's like an average teacher training program, like price to pay.
But I could see how that would be so lucrative for him, because get so many teachers in one room teaching them all at the same time.
And there was like 150 in each teacher training. God. And they do them a couple times a year, so they were super, super lucrative. And it was troubling. So I think that they had two different ones. They did twice a year. They would do like their traditional like signature classes, and then they do a vinyasa training, which I don't know why they didn't teach it together, but they taught it as two separate things. But there was a lot of allegations surrounding the teacher training. And one of the more troubling aspects is something what they called arm raising weekend. And I'm not exactly sure if you lifted your arms and lowered them slowly over the course of an hour, or if they just stayed lifted for an hour.
What? I can't warrior two for more than like a minute without me like doing a whole body shimmy shake.
No. So it was, so I think that the idea is that you're supposed to get out of your body. And so you're supposed to ignore the pain by tapping into something deeper.
That's like a torture tactic.
All set to, someone called it off-brand Enya, or specifically Celine Dion. Which feels extra torturous because, like, I don't know. I just like, I mean, I love Celine Dion.
I do too.
However, I feel like it would be like you'd never be able to listen to her again.
No, it would totally ruin it. And don't take Celine from me
don't
like
take
that.
Celine from me.
No, my heart wants to go on. I don't want any of that. I want to continue to enjoy her. the way that I always have. So don't do that.
Yeah. Yuck. So Vice obtained a copy of the script management used to use during the arm raising exercise. And I want to read it because I don't think that any of these things are necessarily predatory if you're in a very safe environment,
right?
But presented in an environment where people are vulnerable and they're suffering not only physically but emotionally, then I think it's pretty insidious. So the first half, the teacher asks the students to look internally for a sense of stability and then to recall their earliest best memory, which, whatever, cool. At the halfway point, while some trainees are crying, like bawling, like a lot of people that not only on the Yoga to the People shadow work page, but also like in interviews where like people were like screaming and bawling and crying.
All while keeping their
arms up and like doing this thing. So the leader asked them to think of a hardship or challenge from as far back as they can remember. Maybe someone violated your trust, and what came up is I can't trust anyone, I'm not lovable, I've got to be tough. And then it goes on to say, I'd suggest it's not possible to really love if you're wearing your armor. The only thing worse than not letting it out is holding it in one more day. And then they end by suggesting that breaking down and giving in is what allows the trainees to grow. Which I don't necessarily like take issue. I mean, I take issue with the suffering. And I will say that there was people who did say that it was completely voluntary. They're not forced to do this. However, when you're trying to be a good student and you think that this is something that's going to benefit you in the long run, a lot of times you stick it out because you're like, maybe there is something here.
Yeah.
Because you're a student.
This is new to me. I'm here to learn. I'm here to sponge. I'm sponging hard. And if this is what,
So even with that, it's yuck. But so what's especially yuck is that not only did this process emotionally break them down and make them feel vulnerable, but they also share this experience with everyone. So they're feeling really connected to the group. And then that set them up for the next step, which was a truth circle, which, again, I've never been a part of a truth circle. So I can't really say.
What is a truth? I mean, it sounds pretty self-explanatory.
So, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So immediately, so I'm not sure how other ones happened, but how this one functioned is that each student would make eye contact.
Already.
Yeah, they'd make eye contact with everyone in the group. They'd repeat the secret of the person before them. And then they would tell their own secret. And then at the end, they all thank each other for sharing. Which... Okay,
that can seem healing when it's not a predatory situation.
Yeah.
That can,
So they did that. But then sometimes the secrets weren't juicy enough. So the teachers were instructed to share their own secrets to get the ball rolling. And some of those secrets were... sexual assault, addiction.
My God.
And so once someone starts off on that,
it's all
you have to match what they're coming with.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but
you feel like okay,
obligated
right,
to.
Right. Cuz this door has like certainly opened. Okay, like this is what we're starting with. Let's get on that level. They've started with this. Whatever I say can't be nearly as bad. I'm just going to feel free to be completely open.
Yeah. Because they're doing it. Crazy. It's like they're doing it in their best faith. They're like, they put their faith in these people to lead them. Yeah. And this is, they think that this is what's going to help them to grow. I don't know how it makes you a better yoga teacher,
I don't either. But I think, what it does make them is vulnerable and like super susceptible to just all things at this point. Because I don't think it has to do with them being better yoga teachers as so much as like disarming them.
Correct. So a lot of the people say that sorry, I'm still swallowing my booch. It's tart. Anyway, so many witnesses noted that Gumucio often flew in just for arm raising weekend. And one teacher said, and this is a quote, "I can't even imagine why he would need to be at arm raising other than to find out what everybody's dirty secrets are."
Yeah, he wants the juice.
I did notice that people in my teacher training who had the deepest, darkest secrets, they were the ones that got hired and they were the ones that became managers. And there could be value. Like, I mean, I don't want to shit on truth circles because, I mean, maybe there is value. Like, I did a little bit of research into them, and a lot of people say that it kind of really helps you to break out of these unsavory narratives that you hold about yourself.
Oh my gosh.
And so I
100%
get where that's coming from. However, that isn't a safe space. And this seems to not be
a safe
space because it was used to kind of sort out the more vulnerable students because they'd be easier to be exploited and groomed.
Exactly.
So as a narcissist in a position of power, Gumucio really had a knack for grooming young women who were searching for healing and who were willing to put their trust in a person to claim to have all the answers. Okay, so this woman, so she said that she started a relationship with him in 2008 while she was 22. She was studying under him as a teacher trainee.
So wait, I'm so sorry to do this. So at this point, is he not with other homegirl? Who moved over? Okay.
I have no idea.
All right.
I don't know if he's ever really...
Because didn't he move to New York?
He did. Well, so he moved to Portland with a lady, and then they moved to New York, had a baby, and I have no idea. I don't think that they were ever married. I think that he just had this kind of
she doesn't know his real name. She's like,
your name is Charles
She's
William
like,
Abbott.
Charles William Abbott left me to be on my own.
So this woman, so she said that she was given a good amount of classes on the schedule before he moved on to a younger woman in the next teacher training who was only 19 at the time. And then one poster on the shadow work page said that during her training, he was sleeping with 3 different women at once that were all trainees.
I mean, that tracks.
Yeah.
He's literally like casting a net into the teacher training water. And all of these women, see that power and they're like, oh, I can learn so much. It could be me, whatever.
Yeah. And I think this also...
Because let's be very clear. He wasn't like uncomfortably bad looking, or he isn't. I don't know if he's dead. I don't know where he is, but he's not uncomfortably bad looking.
Wait, you thought he was dead?
I don't know. I didn't want to speak of a wasn't.
No, he's alive.
He's alive. He's breathing somewhere. Poo on his breath. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I feel like, he's like somewhere, he's a mix between like a Chris D'Elia and a Baldwin brother. Like, creepy for sure, but not completely like yucca poo.
I think that like there's something to be said about the magnetism of a teacher who commands a presence in a room.
Yes.
And I think that like as a teacher, you're usually like a person of authority. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times teachers don't think like, oh, I don't have power, but you do, because you have the power of suggestion over a room. There's people there that are there to learn from you. And when you're using that in a way that is to the detriment of somebody else, I think that's an abuse of power. And I don't think that a lot of people see it that way. I think that they're like, oh, well, he can fuck whoever he wants. But
no.
Sure. I mean, yeah, maybe ones that aren't his students or people that
out
aren't
on the street, he's
that aren't
not doing the same thing.
Yeah, they're not paying you. Well, and also he's not pulling in anyone off the street because he isn't that good looking. I mean, not to be like a good lookingist.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not like he's no Leo.
He is no Leo.
He's no Leo. He's not raking off randos.
I'm telling you, he's
raking
like
off randos. That's not a thing. Like raking in random women.
No, he's not.
Just like, he's only preying on the ones that he has authority over.
Right, within his wheelhouse. He's not pulling these women off the street because it's really because of the power that he holds that he is even considered or even like looked at twice. This is the thing. When you could have like a offensively not attractive human being with all this power, and women like power, or people like power in general.
I think that they like someone of importance paying them attention.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that like women are attention hungry. It's that we often don't get the right attention.
Right.
We get it for different
everybody
reasons.
likes to feel wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to feel like special, and when you are receiving that from somebody
that you think is like, oh my gosh, this person is so smart.
Yeah.
They're together. They're aligned with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
spiritually, I want to know everything that this person, because they've created this beautiful, studio with so many locations. It's like big.
Yeah.
It's bigger than they think they are in that
well,
moment.
and there's also like I think that it's overlooked often, but spiritual abuse is the thing. Like a lot of times we look at it in like the sense of like super religious stuff, like
I was just gonna
Christianity
say
and cults.
boop, boop, off the record, because I don't want to piss anybody off. Religion,
yeah,
to some extent.
What no, not like a lot of extents.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to. All right, is this a circle of trust? All right. Are we in a circle of trust?
No, but I think it's not even just like an opinion. It's like an actual fact. There's
It's
like
abuse.
in all different religions, there are people who take advantage, and they come from or even like we know somebody who was spiritually abused by her husband because he was like, I'm a pastor, I know things about you, and he would gaslight her with Jesus shit all the time.
We do know
and so
somebody.
it's very easy for someone, especially because you don't think of because yoga often isn't a religion, but it's a spiritual practice,
right,
that can be abused,
right,
in that way, because people. And there's one instance.
It's like something about something being greater and then appeasing that greater. And
yes. And so there's this one, and this kind of lines up perfectly because it's the next kind of step in my notes, is that there was one woman who was dating him, and she'd be like, he refused to use condoms because it would, quote, ruin their sacred bond. And then when she found out that he
just wanted to raw dog you. It really wasn't about a bond of any sort.
No. And so then she found out that he was dating all these other women, and then he gaslit her and was like, you ruined this. You ruined our sacred bond. And like that's spiritual abuse. Like when you gotta bring in like some like weird, well, and also like emotion, like it's just like
all of it.
It's yuck.
Yeah.
It's yuck.
And then it's like supposed to be something super special, but he's doing this special thing with all these other women, all the bonds.
He was having
many
lots
a bond.
of sacred bonds.
Yeah,
lots
many
of
a
women.
sacred bond.
And then also this poor woman who is now like on a very physical level susceptible to all the shit because he's been raw dogging everyone in a sacred bond. Yuck. The next step was that there was a lot of stuff that was reported on that Yoga to the People Shadow.org page, and one of them, there was a lot of claims that he would invite people to his apartment, and a lot of times alcohol would be provided, and a lot of people were subjected to uninvited tickling.
Ew.
And massages, and a lot of them would be like,
uninvited.
I know, there's
which
nothing
like is
yuckier than a tickle.
Yeah.
Me. Okay. So anyway, why were people at his house or at his apartment drinking, you ask?
Why were people at his house drinking?
So they were often invited to his apartment that was right across the street at the St. Mark's location for what they dubbed stacking parties. And this is where they emptied bags and bags, like these giant black trash bags full of cash, like all the donations that they would get. And he would have students come, or not students, he would have the teachers come. And it happened like bi-weekly, and it was usually the younger women that were teachers that were invited, and they would sit on the money to warm it up so that they could run it through a counting machine, which is very weird.
I'll tell you what, I worked at a bank this one time, And you don't need to sit on any of that money.
So there was a person that in his, oh my God, account talk for Rolling Stone who said, quote, "I don't know enough about tax fraud to think this might be illegal. I thought it was just another example of Greg being a manipulative, power-hungry person to like make us sit on cash."
Make you sit on cash for what? Exactly. You don't need to.
You don't need to sit on the cash.
But you know what? You know who's willing to do that?
People who want to get up in the teacher world there.
Yeah.
And so teachers were forbidden to count the money. So they were only there to sit.
You were supposed to just come and be a hen.
You were just you were there for your butt.
Yeah.
And then you were supposed to hand over the money so it could be counted by him. And so one teacher said that like after class, there's just like money scattered everywhere and they're supposed to put it in these trash bags. But the teacher was like, okay, someone's going to have to count this. So she started stacking it neatly.
Making it nice.
Which, same. Do you know how much it would hurt my heart to shove wads of cash in a trash bag and not...
Yeah. And not like...
I mean, I don't even think she was doing like face up, right way. I think she was just stacking it nicely and flattening them. She was reprimanded.
Because he's like, wait a minute, you're making this too efficient. You're taking away from what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah. So she was like, no. She was like, I got in trouble for even trying to organize it. They didn't want a sense that anyone could count the money.
That is crazy.
And then another person said that even at these stacking parties, like it was very tense because no one knew who was close with Greg or who was sleeping with him. So they couldn't it was just a really awkward, weird, tense situation.
It was like, watch what we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, mind your space. Like, it's like eggshells essentially. Like, what do you do at that point? Oh, talk about the weather. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just really odd and awkward.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, he would end up, I don't know why, they mentioned it in multiple articles. They'd put the money in his guitar case. But the guitar case held like $20,000 to $30,000 at any given time.
Wads of
and all of this at the stacking party was unpaid labor. They didn't get paid for doing that. And this is where all that like weird tickling and massaging took place.
It wasn't like they did anything to help the situation. He just wanted time with them so he could tickle them and get them wasted, probably.
Yeah, it was yuck. So this was an example of a lot of the unpaid labor that Yoga to the People expected of their teachers. They created a super toxic ass environment that expected its teachers to prove their loyalty by giving their company their time for free. So after graduating...
It sounds very B-Crumb, by the way.
It's what?
B-Crumb. It sounds very B-Crumb.
I don't know what his process was. I still need to look into it a little bit more. But so they graduated teacher training, and some teachers would be invited to teach there. The ones that were probably kind of siphoned out from the truth circle.
It's the ones that stayed quiet and literally did everything that they were asked to do. And
so you would get on the schedule, but you had to teach 25 classes for free to prove your loyalty by staying late and cleaning up the studio every night.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is straight from a church somewhere.
Yeah.
Literally, do all these things to prove how religious you are, or prove your loyalty, or whatever.
Yeah.
All of these acts of kindness.
So one teacher said that when she was teaching for free, she was teaching 6 classes a week. And then when she hit her 25 classes and started getting paid, she went down to just once a week. And they were only paying her $25 a class.
A week. So she's making $25 a week because now that she's paid, they're like, nah, I'm not going to,
No, I'm not going to waste my money.
I'm going to have these other people who haven't done their 25 classes yet continue to pay or to continue to teach for free.
Yeah.
While I bank all these donations, air quotes. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are you know what I mean.
Yeah. And so on top of the free labor, they were expected to be available at all times. So the schedule was often only released weekly and sometimes only day to day. So you never really knew when you were teaching. And a lot of times it was meant to keep teachers in line. And so one teacher said if you couldn't work a class because you were scheduled too late, you wouldn't show up on the schedule for like another 2 weeks.
Oh my God, you're like penalized for it. Yeah. And so your job really is to drop all things and be that committed at all times. Because if you miss your window, you're screwed.
And if they're only paying you $25 a week, then like...
Help me understand.
How are you going to live?
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah, you
can't.
Yeah,
in New York.
You're not, yeah, you're certainly having to, your livelihood is supplemented somehow.
Yeah. So Gumuzio also expected his staff to pick up anytime he called. And one teacher, it was reported a lot on the shadow work page, but a teacher who spoke to Vice said that she had a manager told me that it doesn't matter if your boyfriend's inside you, you pick up the phone.
Oh,
which
my
even
God.
saying that is gross. And expecting that is unreasonable. And
there's so much wrong. It's like it's such a crazy precedence to set. Is that the right word?
Precedent?
Yeah.
Precedent.
Precedent.
Yeah. Precedent to set.
Tap. To set. Like, that's what they expect of you. You literally have no self.
Yeah.
No personal anything. Like, you are an object. You are owned by the studio.
Yeah. And that same person said that someone called her at like 3 a.m. in the morning, and her first thought was like, oh, somebody's sick.
Hurt.
Or like someone's sick and I have to teach at 6 a.m. And so she answered, and it was just him. He was like, oh, just seeing if you would pick up.
Just seeing if you're, yeah.
And that was it.
Just, okay, I know now.
He told her to just meditate on that. You. Yeah.
Just be paranoid. Just keep this level of paranoia up at all times.
Yeah. He also, I love this. And by love it, I mean, I don't love it, but he would mean girl call his staff. So like if someone got in trouble, they would like 3-way call that person and like berate. Like this one woman said she went to a manager to express, like, she was like, I think he's sleeping with someone that's working for him. And then minutes later, the manager and Greg like called her on a 3-way call and were just like Regina Georging her.
How dare you?
How dare you?
You're this, you're that.
3-way calling.
Like just, and then this person on the other line is like,
yeah.
Oh.
There was multiple accounts of the 3-way call attack.
Wow. That's
like
nothing
that
I ever considered doing.
So there was a lot of allegations, and there's like so many. It's kind of hard when you go through the YTTP shadow work page. There's accusations of racial discrimination, a culture of body shaming, ableism, manipulation, gaslighting, spiritual bypassing, rape, sexual assaults, inappropriate touching. Like it is so, it's deep.
Yeah.
However, a lot of the stuff, it was very hard to verify. And because they redacted a lot of the information, it was hard to kind of pin it just on him. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to kind of shift away from having more like not having more because I mean I don't think the people who had like more serious stuff, they don't owe anybody to elaborate. So I just wanted to kind of shift over to the financial aspect of his crimes that finally kind of caught up to him. So according to a complaint from and this is like the legal complaint within the Department of Justice, from 2010 to 2020, they grossed over $20 million and never filed a single corporate tax return with the IRS. And he never paid or filed any income taxes. And it alleges that Gumuzio, along with leadership, used various methods to evade taxes by accepting only cash and paying teachers in said cash to keep transactions, quote, off the books. One manager said that she was paid her monthly salary of $3,000, which this is a manager that's getting paid $3,000 a month in a plastic bag from a liquor store. And then in 2013, one of the other managers had texted him, so all salaries are in cash, and he just went, yup.
Oh my God. Red flag. Red flag.
$3,000 a month for a manager?
No.
at
In New York.
in New York at a yoga studio
No.
where they do so much shit. She said, hold on. There, I have to scroll down in my notes a little bit because it's a little bit further.
Honestly, okay, let me be very clear though. $3,000 a month is a lot to a lot of people, but as a manager in New York,
that's not rent.
It's not. No, that's barely rent. If you have like,
I mean, if you have a closet,
yeah.
If you're renting a closet for $2,500 and you have $500 to live for the rest of the month,
cup of noodle life.
As a manager. Anyway, so they use nominees to disguise the defendant's connection to the Yoga to the People business. And this is a direct quote from the complaint. It says, Gumucio targeted and groomed typically young women and others to become nominee owners of studios, luring them with the title of studio owner when in fact he generally controlled business decisions and took a cut of the proceeds. The nominees took on all the meaningful financial risks. And then he used the business accounts to pay for his personal expenses, and then they maximized unreported income by manipulating subordinates into providing free labor. So all of that was directly from the complaint. Like,
yeah.
They were like onto him.
Right.
And so not only were what they were doing was criminal, but they knew that it was illegal.
The second that you see somebody working with cash only and like, oh, put everything in your name. Vacuum?
Oh, yeah, maybe
blower?
It's a vacuum. Oh, a blower.
You don't think Tommy's blowing right now?
Tommy stress blows all the time.
I mean, I love a good stress blow. Like, honestly.
We mean with the blower, for the lawn?
Yeah, like a leaf blower.
He stress blows hard.
It's because it's so satisfying. Don't get me with a power washer.
Oh, yeah. It's up there with power washer.
Yeah.
It's like if you need a quick fix, you do the leaf blower.
Just go, yeah.
If you have more time, then you do the power wash.
Then you do the power wash. And if it's sunny.
Yeah, because you
then
don't want,
it dries off.
Yeah, you want shit to dry so that you can soak in the full results. Yeah. Sorry if anyone anyone hears that blowing.
Yeah.
That high pitch of the stress blow.
But no, it's crazy when it screams red flags. It's crazy to me, and it's silly to me also. I mean, he got away with it for a while, but
I mean, like 20 years.
Yeah, but it's gonna come back to you when you have that many people. Like, all it takes is one person.
I have nightmares that I had a cinematography class in college, and I didn't really do much because I am not a cinematographer, and my teacher didn't know my name, and so he just gave me a C because he couldn't remember who I was. I have nightmares that my college calls me and is like, we found out that you didn't really get a C. So you didn't pass, and we got to take your degree.
So we're going to take this away.
Not that it even matters, because I don't even do anything with my degree.
Yeah, but still. But you have a degree, and you don't want that taken away. I have stress dreams about it,
and I get, the stress sweats. The sweats? And that was just from letting someone not remember my name.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
crazy.
Tax fraud?
Yeah, no!
If I was, committing tax fraud?
Honestly, anytime, and that's why
I might just keel over.
Yeah, I'm such I don't want to say, I come from such a place of honesty that
she was about to say truther. She thought the truther meant that you want to tell the truth.
I'm always telling the truth. I'm like, I'm a truther. No, Jenna told me that long ago what it really means, and I cannot align with that. Okay, I cannot. So I'm a truth teller. Is that the same?
You are one with the truth. No,
I'm one with the truth. And anything outside of the truth makes me physically uncomfortable. Cannot. Not okay. So I can't imagine.
No. So they said that there's a woman who claims to be a manager that says that they were pressured not to file their tax returns because it would force Yoga to the People to claim them as an employee.
Exactly.
So not only were they doing wrong, they were encouraging their employees.
It was a trickle down.
And because a lot of times they were young and they didn't know better.
Yeah.
They were like, oh
no, this is my employer.
Yeah, okay.
Let me find their 19, EIN number.
Yeah, if you're 19 and you're like, oh, like, I've never done a tax return. I'm 19.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, you don't do that. Then you would
like,
trust. They're your bosses. They're the people that are in your community that are, like, people of authority to you.
Yeah.
And so not only did they, like, it just...
And it could be something so, like, easily said, oh, no, we don't do that. Like, confidently said, like, oh, no, this is how we do it. Like, this is, you know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think twice about it.
Or even if they questioned it, they'd be like, oh, well, because, you know, we need to keep this place running and for donations.
It's donations.
It's
like,
donations or like, you know, I just feel like there's so much gaslighting and yuck there. But another former manager who spoke to Rolling Stone said that a request for a tax form was usually a really big deal and it would result in very contentious conversations. And it was probably ended in like a 3-way call with
like
Mean Girl.
You suck.
Yeah.
Like the berating of it all. You're going to get
berated by Mean Girl Greg.
Yeah.
The same manager. So I wanted to mention this earlier when we were talking about that manager that only got $3,000. I don't know that it's the same manager because I can't recall if it was the same article. Mm-hmm. But she said that I'm assuming it's a woman because I think there was another place where they said she, but I don't want to misgender. So they said that they worked 100 hours a week. Their tasks include admin work, handling money, so the stacking parties, managing teachers, helping to run teacher training, and then teaching 20 classes.
Fuck that. 100 hours a week doing all of this stuff.
For $3,000. She said, or they said, they felt sleep deprived, hungry, and broke the entire time. And that was one of the better case scenarios out of this whole situation.
Right, because other people got perspiring.
So Yoga to the People published their first post on July 3rd, 2020. Immediately posted like over 100 submissions. And then a week later, the company, which was already shut down because of COVID, just ceased all of its operations. It was like,
really?
Yeah. And so then even after the closure, submissions kept rolling in.
They're on to us. They're coming in numbers, in troves. The only thing we can do is shut down and continue to stay shut down.
Yeah. And then on August 5th, 2022, Greg Gamusio and his wife, Haven Solomon, and business partner Michael Anderson were all charged with 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the IRS and 5 counts of tax evasion. And they face up to 30 years in prison if convicted.
Sounds great. Poor Haven, though.
I don't know.
Do you think she got roped in, or do you think that like she was bad as well?
I think that she was young and probably like one of his youngins that he roped in, and then she probably didn't know any better.
No. That is so crazy.
Which sucks.
No, it does.
I mean, I don't want to absolve her of anything because I did try to look into her a little bit to be like, ooh, was she yuck? And I didn't find anything. So I feel if you don't find anything, maybe she definitely wasn't as yuck as him.
No, she probably kept her nose clean and was a normal human being.
But, definitely benefited from all of the money that he was getting and all of the status that comes with that.
Yeah, I wonder what he did with all of that money. Like,
I have no idea.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Like, you can't, when banks look at how much cash you bring in, there's flags that are sent out. So he couldn't have brought them in like bulk. Anything over 10,000 they have to report to the IRS.
So one of the posts on the Shadow Work page said that they knew that. Mm-hmm. So they often would have just they would put $9,000 in cash and that's what they would deposit.
And you know what? They would probably deposit it into different people's, so it's not under one. Yeah.
Entity. They probably did it real sneaky. But that is the case of Yoga to the People. There has not been any new updates, but I have an alert. So I plan on keeping everyone updating
as things happen.
Probably on Instagram or something.
Yeah. That is so crazy. I'm glad he's tucked away. But I feel like he should have been charged for so much more.
Yeah. Well, my hope is that and a lot depends on the victims and if they want to come forward and if they want to charge and go through the whole process again.
Yeah, because it sucks, again, to be one to rehash.
But if he's off the street, then that's cool.
Then I'm happy with that.
and he can't re-victimize anybody else. I mean, it's not justice for the people who are
maybe
totally
he'll
wrong.
get victimized. Sorry.
Oh God, we're going back to 30 stabs.
I know, 30 stabs, 30 shanks. I'm not one to like wish harm, but you know, people need to get what they deserve.
I feel like
and for being such a predator and impacting that many people and their mental, like things you don't always.
He's traumatized.
Yeah.
Traumatized.
These are things that people don't bounce back from. And if they can, then you're not the same. Like, you're not that innocent person before.
Yeah. Well, and I feel really, I feel it's a bummer because I think that a lot of people came to this yoga studio and they found their home studio, like what they identified with.
Yeah.
And because of this guy being disgusting, they like thousands of yogis and teachers that were there in good faith completely lost their yoga home.
Yeah.
And it could have shaken the faith of
like
a lot of people.
Everything that yoga meant to them was just cheapened and yucked and like dragged through the mud. And like when before they could have looked back on their experience, because it wasn't bad for everybody, right?
Yeah.
They could have looked back on their experience as like really something fantastic. And like, you know,
and then that creates a lot of conflict. Because even like I don't have much experience with being in a situation like this, but from even just like the littlest things, I had a student who had committed a crime and it took a really long time to come back from knowing that and like not thinking about it and like it making you angry while you're teaching or while you're practicing, and it like invades your mental space. And so I feel bad for these people who really identified with this place and it's gone, and I hope they found something that is a healthier fit. And yeah, what should we call this one?
Teeny Pee
Regina George.
Teeny Pee
is spiritually fucked.
I don't know. We'll have to think of it. What do we call this one?